or professional obligations that conflict with moral, ethical, or religious principles deeply rooted in their personal lives. This may be the refusal of military service in the name of nonviolence, or the refusal on the part of doctors and healthcare professionals to engage in practices such as abortion or euthanasia. Conscientious objection is not rebellion, but an act of fidelity to oneself. At this moment in history, freedom of conscience seems increasingly to be questioned by states, even those that claim to be based on democracy and human rights. This freedom, however, establishes a balance between the collective interest and individual dignity. It also emphasizes that a truly free society does not impose uniformity, but protects the diversity of consciences, preventing authoritarian tendencies and promoting an ethical dialogue that enriches the social fabric. In a similar way, religious freedom risks being curtailed. As Benedict XVI recalled, this is the first of all human rights because it expresses the most fundamental reality of the person. The most recent data shows that violations of religious freedom are on the rise, and that 64% of the world's population suffers serious violations of this right. In requesting that the religious freedom and worship of Christians be fully respected, the Holy See asks the same for all other religious communities. On the 60th anniversary of the promulgation of the Declaration Nostra Aetate, one of the fruits of the Second Vatican Ecumenical Council that concluded on December 8, 1965, I had the opportunity to reiterate the categorical rejection of all forms of anti-Semitism, which unfortunately continues to sow hatred and death. I likewise emphasize the importance of cultivating the Jewish-Christian dialogue, deepening our common biblical roots. On that same commemorative occasion, the meeting with representatives of other religions allowed me to renew my appreciation for the progress made in recent decades along the path of interreligious dialogue. Indeed, in every sincere religious quest, there is a reflection of the one divine mystery that embraces all creation. In this regard, I ask all the nations to guarantee full freedom of religion and worship to each of their citizens. However, it cannot be overlooked that the persecution of Christians remains one of the most widespread human rights crises today, affecting over 380 million believers worldwide. They suffer high or extreme levels of discrimination, violence, and oppression because of their faith. This phenomenon impinges on approximately 1 in 7 Christians globally, and it worsened in 2025 due to ongoing conflicts, authoritarian regimes, and religious extremism. Sadly, all of this demonstrates that religious freedom is considered in many contexts more as a privilege or concession than a fundamental human right. Here I would especially call to mind the many victims of violence, including religiously motivated violence in Bangladesh, in the Sahel region, and in Nigeria, as well as those of the serious terrorist attack last June on the parish of St. Elias in Damascus. Nor do I forget the victims of jihadist violence in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique. At the same time, we must not forget a subtle form of religious discrimination against Christians, which is spreading even in countries where they are in the majority, such as in Europe or the Americas. There, they are sometimes restricted in their ability to proclaim the truths of the gospel for political or ideological reasons, especially when they defend the dignity of the weakest, the unborn, refugees and migrants, or promote the family. In its international relations and actions, The Holy See consistently takes a stand in defense of the inalienable dignity of every person. It cannot be overlooked, for example, that every migrant is a person and as such has inalienable rights that must be respected in every situation. Not all migrants move by choice, but many are forced to flee because of violence, persecution, conflict, and even the effects of climate change, as in various parts of Africa and Asia. In this year, which also marks the 75th anniversary of the International Organization for Migration, I renew the Holy See's hope that the actions taken by states against criminality and human trafficking will not become a pretext for undermining the dignity of migrants and refugees. The same considerations apply to prisoners who can never be reduced to the crimes they have committed. On this occasion, I wish to express my